I really wish that the daily challenge would have been called Drone Alone, since only one team was able to complete it. That or Mission Impossible. We're back. Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that has a huge inflated ego. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 36 Double Agents Episode 4, and in this episode we learn that Fessy definitely has a type. CT shows that he's a true OG, original gamer, and the editing team for The Challenge is pulling a Houdini because one minute you see Liv and the next minute you don't. But let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Devin going into the elimination against Wes, winning, getting his gold skull, and everybody's coming back from that elimination, and Devin is feeling pretty good. He has his new partner in Tori, and he feels on top of the world. Now, the first 5 minutes of this episode is really setting up the domino pieces and the storylines that's going to take over for the rest of this episode. We get a little bit into, at the hot tub, Tori and Anissa are super friends and super close, and that also shows that Fessy and Tori are getting super close. We haven't seen it up to this point, but there's just a lot of confessionals about how they're getting really close with one another, which will play off later in the episode. And then we move on to a conversation in the living room between Devin, Big T, Kyle, and Amber M, and they are all talking. Devin is asking Big T how she got her name Big T, and can I just say that I love that Big T is on this season. I love how much camera time she's getting, how many confessionals, and I love getting to know a little bit more about Big T the person. I think she is super strong, and I love this segment right here. Now, the only thing I dislike about this moment right here is that Devin undercuts it by coming after Amber M. He just, at one point, is like, oh wow, Big T, you and I have something in common. We share something very personal, and I love that you just let your heart out right there. By the way, Amber, don't you have to go to bed? Can you just leave? I can't trust you. Get out of here. Raise your hand if you want her to go to bed. Like, he's like the king of the living room. He's like the dad that's like, hey, it's past 8:30. You should go to bed kind of thing. I'm sure there's something that was left on the editing room floor because up to this point, we have seen very minimal of Amber M. And for Devin to come after her just out of nowhere like this feels so unwarranted, feels so unnecessary, and it just feels super rude and absolutely ridiculous. Well, Devin finally goes to bed. He decides it's time for him to go to bed, so he goes to bed. The next morning, Amber confides in her partner Nelson, and Nelson goes and confronts Devin. Now, maybe it's not the most opportune time because Devin's still asleep, but I do like that Nelson is sticking up for his partner and going straight to hear what was going on in Devin's head from Devin himself. And realistically, like a gym membership after March, there is no resolution here, and we go straight into the daily challenge, which is called Drone Control. And what you're going to have to do is one partner is going to be controlling a drone, and the other one's going to be telling the person how to navigate it as they try to find this like decipher board, and then they're going to have to try to crack a code. Now, the team that can complete this the quickest, or really just complete it in general, moves on and becomes the double agent and gets all the power for this episode. Then after the explanation of the daily challenge, that's when TJ looks over at Michi and goes, hey, you might be wondering where your partner is. And it's kind of like us as the audience, we just saw Liv having a moment with Amber B and Big T not like 3 minutes ago. And that's when TJ makes the announcement that Liv is not medically cleared to go on through this challenge. So now Michi is the rogue agent. He is unable to compete, but he is safe from going into the elimination, and he will be getting a new partner after this week's elimination. Can I just say that I guess that drones are a part of a spy kind of motif, and so I understand where they're coming from. But unlike the daily challenge in War of the Worlds, where they kind of did the similar thing where they had their partners back to back with each other, one person had the Oculus Rift or whatever, the VR headset on themselves, and they were helping to navigate walking across high beams. And I think it plays into people's fear. It was something fun to watch. It was something fun to see people mess up on, whereas this one wasn't as fun to watch. Now, as people were getting these drones, they were crashing them almost instantaneously. I mean, people were failing this mission left and right. It was mission fail after mission fail after mission fail after mission fail. It wasn't until Devin and Tori got up to the platform and they absolutely crushed it. They were the only team to crush it as everyone else had crashed their drones. It took Leo and Gabby all but 30 seconds to crash their drone, and I can't say that I would have done much better. I've never flown a drone in my life, and I think it would have took me all but 15 seconds to crash this thing into a rock. Devin and Tori are the double agents, and they are already at the opposite ends. Tori wants to throw herself into the elimination. She wants to go against Amber M because she thinks she's weak and get her gold skull early. This seems very, very familiar. I don't know where I've heard that one before. Maybe because I've heard it in Total Madness, where she wanted to get her red skull so bad she went into an elimination early on against somebody who she thought was weak, who she thought was checked out, and that didn't end well for her. Devin doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want Tori to volunteer herself in, especially not knowing if it's a guy's or a girl's day. So he's saying, let's not do that. And I have so many issues with so many people. At this point, it's almost easier to talk about people who Devin doesn't have an issue with than name off all the people that he says he has an issue with. So they're talking about the people that they're okay mutually with by throwing into the elimination. And it comes down to Nelson and Amber and Josh and Nani. And Devin saying, hey, I wouldn't mind throwing in Josh and Nani. I would love to get Josh out of this game. And that's when Tori takes this information, goes straight to Josh and goes, hey, I'm just letting you know, your name has come out and Devin really wants to throw you in, but I want to throw myself in by going against Amber. So let's get everybody to vote in Nelson and Amber, and then I'll volunteer myself in. But then Josh is going like, no, I want to go in. I'm so confident to go in, especially if it's a physical elimination. I want to go in. Josh takes this information that Tori's given him and goes straight to Casey and Jay. And Jay earlier in the episode was talking about how he's playing the fence and he's making friends with everyone, and he hopes that doesn't come to bite him in the butt later on, foreshadowing this moment right here where Josh and Jay have beef with each other for some reason. I feel as though that Josh is using this as an opportunity to say, hey, I want to go up against Jay in the elimination. So if Devin is going to throw me in, I want to start some beef with Jay and maybe get the house to vote in Jay and Teresa so I can go up against him in a physical elimination. Jay is not having it. He is stepping up to Josh and saying, don't mess with me. We are friends. Let's talk about this like an adult. And Josh goes, no, thank you. I'm going to go walk around and do something else. The next morning, they still have beef with each other. But when we get to the deliberation in this episode, that's when Leroy is taking control and he says, hey, Josh, I've heard your name being thrown out there as Devin is possibly wanting to throw you into the elimination. Is there anybody you would want to go up against in elimination that you would feel comfortable with, that you would want the house vote to be? And Josh says that he is not throwing anybody's name out there and that he has no beef with anybody really in this room. So we get to the voting. Everybody votes. There's some people voting for Nelson and Amber. Some people are voting for Jay and Teresa. And other people are just burn voting on Kyle and Anissa and Fessy. And that's when we get to the chamber with Devin and Tori, and they are waiting to see who are the compromised agents, and they find out that the compromised agents this episode is Nelson and Amber M by a vote of only 12 people. So the majority of this episode is only 12 people. It feels like there's more and more burn votes happening each and every week. We move into them talking about possibly who they want to send in, and Tori is saying, hey, I want to vote myself in. If it's a hall brawl, I'm going in regardless. And that's where Devin's like, no. We need to figure out what we're doing as a whole. We need to see the big picture here. We move into a conversation between Josh and Fessy in the hot tub where Josh is saying that he's ready and hungry to go and get his gold skull, to get his first elimination win. We go from that point all the way into the actual elimination of everybody coming in here, and we see that a hall brawl is set up. Tori is feeling good. She is feeling like she wants to go into the elimination, but this is where TJ has this like, I don't know, it's like a Cheshire cat. It's like a riddle here where he has this like wording where he's like, hey, Tori and Devin, do you want to throw yourself into this elimination against Nelson and Amber in this hall brawl? Would you like to volunteer yourself in? And that's where Tori's like, okay, he didn't specify whether it's a guy's day or a girl's day. Hey, TJ, can you just specify who it is that's up for grabs in this elimination? And TJ's like, no, you can just volunteer yourself in and then I'll tell you. And that's when they err on the side of precaution, and Tori and Devin both say, no, we're not going to volunteer each other in. Let's vote in Anissa and Fessy. And Josh is pissed. He is frustrated. He said he was ready to go. He was up there like pounding his chest, getting ready to go. And he says he was mentally prepared to go into this week's elimination against Nelson and Amber. But there was a deal struck off camera that Fessy talked to Tori and Devin saying that, hey, throw me in. If there's a whole brawl, throw me in. I don't care if it's against anybody that is friends with me. I just want to go in, prove that I can get my gold skull, and then I'm coasting myself to the finals. And this is just weird because we didn't even get to see this in a flashback. All we hear is Corey and everybody's reaction to their votes of Fessy and Anissa, and Tori saying that he wanted to be thrown into the elimination in a hall brawl. To me, this is just weird editing on MTV's part. I would have liked to have seen at least a flashback of Fessy going up to them saying, hey, I would like to be thrown in, and then if Tori said, hey, but what if it's against your friend Nelson is being thrown in, Fessy goes, I don't care, I just want to get into an elimination. If it's a hall brawl, I want it. So send me in. I don't care if it's against my best friend or my mom, throw me in. To me, I thought that was weird that they didn't even show a flashback, as they were showing flashbacks of Josh lying about Casey crying and all that other stuff. It's really up to MTV's editing group and team if they really wanted to show that portion. I really wish they would have shown it, but to each their own. On a vote of 2-0, Fessy and Anissa are thrown into the elimination against Nelson and Amber, and this is where we learn that it is a guy's elimination. So it's going to be Nelson and it's going to be Fessy, and you kind of knew it was going to be a guy's day because once walking in, we got all those like flashbacks of Nelson in last year's hall brawl with Rogan, and that's where it was like, okay, well, it's clearly going to be Nelson. So the guys get strapped in. Nelson is feeling betrayed beyond all doubt. I mean, last season, he went into the hall brawl for a friend. Now he's going into a hall brawl against a friend. And Fessy does not care. He just wants to get this win no matter what. And we see that in round one. And we see that in round one as the two guys are going at each other really, really quickly. And then both are trying to get lower than each other. Nelson gets lower than Fessy, and they're on the ground with each other. And Fessy is on top of Nelson, and at one point I'm going, this strategy is kind of weird because I don't know what's going on. But Fessy is picking up Nelson and slamming him into the ground. He's ripping off his face mask, putting his face into the dirt. This was really, really dirty in my opinion. But Fessy is doing this, slamming Nelson over and over again. This could be an editing trick, as they were showing the same scenes over and over again from different angles and different speeds. But it seemed as though that Fessy was smashing Nelson's face into the dirt. He was smashing him over and over and over again, trying to break his spirit, trying to break his body, kind of like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. And that's when Fessy jumps over Nelson. It's a foot race. It's really, really close, but Fessy is just able to beat out Nelson by a hair. And then we get to round two, and that's when TJ's like, hey, no more dirty business. I didn't stop round one, but hey, don't do it again. Slap on the wrist, Fessy. And now it's time for round two. That's when round two, the horn buzzes, and Fessy is just lightning quick here. Nelson, I think, has a slight hesitation, as when they do collide, Fessy is already close to Nelson's side. They're past the halfway point, and I think Fessy is just ready to get this over with, and they are able to break apart from each other quicker than in round one, and Fessy easily gets round two, winning 2-0, and Nelson is just hurt beyond all belief. I mean, this is a sucker punch to the gut. I mean, you lose last season right before the finals in a hall brawl. Now you're losing early this season to a hall brawl. It feels as though it's like a giant rock, an immovable object in front of you now, and it's kind of like in his brain, like, if I see a hall brawl, will I be able to overcome whoever's in there? Fessy is burning bridges in this house faster than anything else, and he's making a lot of enemies, as he is now breaking apart from Anissa after this win, and he's taking Casey, which I don't necessarily understand. I guess possibly that if Casey and Fessy are together, they could win more daily challenges and be the double agent more often. But now Fessy has a huge target on his back, and because he brought in Casey, now she has a huge target on her back. Leroy is now matched up with Anissa, and Michi and Amber M are now matched up with each other. This was all types of crazy. This was all types of weird editing. I think this was mainly an episode where they're setting up for next episode, which seems to be a huge explosion. And we see in the preview that the next daily challenge is going to be that Don't Let Go daily challenge, which was put into all the teasers and all the trailers. There's going to be a ton of fights, ton of yelling. Everybody's going to be coming after Fessy. It's going to look like it's going to be a fun time. I think that this episode was mainly just trying to sit back, be a little bit more of a setup episode. It's only episode 4, so there's still a ton to come this season, but that is it for this episode. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. What'd you think about Devin and Tori winning in that daily challenge? What'd you think about that daily challenge in general? Let me know that in the comment section below. And what do you think about Fessy making deals with them, getting thrown into the elimination against his friend Nelson? And what do you think about his tactics in the hall brawl? Let me know that in the comment section below. And also, what do you think about him picking Casey as his partner? Do you think that was the right move? Do you think Fessy was making the right moves in this episode to set him up for the long term? Let me know that in the comment section below, and let me know anything and everything that you had about this episode. I'm so happy that the challenge is back after a week gone, but thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge 36 Double Agent content, more challenge content, more content in general, but until then, peace.